Welcome to Right Values Studio. This is Right Values, Right Living, a program that brings you positive values that guarantees right living. My name is DJ Moody, and I'm not here alone. I'm here with my colleagues, Mr. Dandy Elebila.
Thank you for having me, sir. Good day, viewers. Thank you for being part of this show. This is Right Values, Right Living, a program where we are sure to bring to you values that are capable not only to transform individual, but also our nation at large. Thank you. Please stay tuned.
Today, we'll be taking a closer look at the new and old national anthem with the aim of identifying the important values that embedded in each of the two anthems.
Of course, we should know that our national anthem, beyond singing and reciting the national anthem is introduced in order to build our value as a people. So today on this platform, Right Values, Right Living, we're going to be bringing to us what value is all about.
The national anthem, being a national song, it contains very important values that depicts our history and our aspirations as a people. And these values that are embedded in the anthem, they are something that if we pay closer attention to them, they are capable of, influencing our behavior and our attitude. We want you to know that we have two national anthems, as our history now. Nigeria as a country has
two national anthems in our history as a nation. Yes.
That is why you used to hear of the old
and the new
national anthem. Of course, there is one that is currently approved and is considered as the national anthem.
It's actually the old but considered as new national anthem.
Our focus is actually to bring us those values, to identify those values in these two national anthems. Why are we talking about values? Values are ideologies, beliefs, or principles that we consider very important or dear to us, and which are also capable of influencing or shaping our attitude.
Yes, they are not just capable. The fact remains that it is those values that are actually responsible for transforming any nation.
They have ability of transforming an individual and a nation.
Yeah.
That means even as individuals or as a nation, where we are today is as a result of the values that we are imbibed, internalized, and exhibit,
as
so
a
far.
people. And that is also to say that values too can also be responsible in destroying an individual or even a nation.
You will understand when we are talking about values, some are positive
and
while some
negative.
are negative. Just as he said, positive values are responsible for development, are responsible for progress, are responsible for peace, while negative values invariably are responsible for underdevelopment. Are responsible because negative values, as you said, they are responsible for the destruction and the underdevelopment of nations. They are responsible for lack of peace, which we call insecurity. They are responsible for lack of progress,
lack of unity,
negative values. That tells us, when you look at a nation, when you take a look at a nation, you will know what type of value that is being upheld or upheld in that nation. Based on what? Their state of development or the state of affairs of that nation. And when you look at a nation that is characterized with corruption, insecurity, and all manner of attitude and unpatriotic attitudes, you also know the kind of values that are being upheld in that society. That is why today we want you to know that as individuals, values determines our attitudes, and our attitude determines our character, and our character determines our identity. Determine who we are. Our values, which is our beliefs, our principles, our ideology as a people, determine who we are. Values also determine, in fact, they serve as the bedrock for every decision, for all decisions that we make in life.
As a people,
and as individuals. Values serve as a bedrock for the decisions and choices that we make as a people. And then we also know that values determine what we pursue in life. Values also determines, it helps us to understand why we do things the way we do them.
Talking about values, of course, as a nation, Nigeria, or every other nation all around the world, we cannot overemphasize the essence and importance of values. And of course, that is one of the reasons why in nation's national anthem, values are embedded in the anthem. So, and that is the reason why citizens are meant to recite or sing the national song probably on daily basis or at every opportunity that is available. And the reason why we have to do that is to ensure that all the values that are embedded therein, we as a people were able to internalize them, not only internalize them, imbibe, so that it will be easy to exhibit. And it is only when we exhibit those values that we can now see the effect in our society, in our community, and even in our nation at large. So today we're going to be looking at the values and the importance of the values embedded in both the old and the new national anthem. Please stay with us.
National anthem is a national song, that contains important values. And we said it depicts our history. It tells where we come from. It tells who we are. And at the same time, our aspirations. That is what we are looking forward to become, even as a nation. So when you see every national anthem, particularly our own national anthem, in fact, both the old and the new, there are important values embedded in them that we need to take a closer look at. Just like me and you were in the one public function just few weeks
by the National Orientation Agency,
organized by the National Orientation Agency, and we've discovered it is not enough to teach people how to sing the national anthem, the lyrics of the national anthem. It is much more important for you to teach them to understand the meaning of
these
each
lyrics.
of the lyrics. Because
and to also understand the importance of that lyrics. And even beyond that, we should also be able to understand what the words, the words of that song is meant to do for us as a people. Because it is impossible for us to keep singing a song every now and then without a particular purpose for such a song. So we should be able to understand beyond singing the national anthem or beyond reciting the national anthem and the pledge. We should be able to understand what it is meant to do for us as a nation.
You know, I have also come to realization that maybe all this while the national anthem had not been able to produce the needed or the intended,
result
in us as a people, it is because we thought we are singing for singing's sake. In fact, our children in schools, they are singing the national anthem almost every day. They are there meeting
on the assembly ground.
But to them, they are just reciting. It's just a
ritual.
Ritual
that they have to do every morning without minding what is actually the essence of singing this song on a daily basis.
So I think what we are reminding us and reminding our nation is that beyond the singing of this anthem, we should first and foremost know the purpose, the intended purpose
of the song.
Why are we singing it every day? The children should ask themselves, our students in schools should ask themselves, why are we meant to sing this national anthem every day on assembly ground?
I have also come to realize that you discover that most schools also have their own school anthem. And permit me to tell you, sir, that you will see that the schools actually take their own anthem more serious because they take time to educate their students on the school anthem. They make sure because they believe that the school anthem actually promotes the ideologies and of the school. So they take time, they tend to promote even the school anthem beyond the national anthem, which I think that is okay, but I think they should be able to balance this. They should also take time to actually let the students understand the meaning and the essence at which the national anthem is to be sung.
You see, just as you are saying, for the schools, most of the school does that simply because to their own schools, they own the schools and they own the ideas and it's easier for them. But the national anthem is something that has to do with the entire national structure. It's something that it is not just a group of individuals that have their own personal interests. It's something that the whole nation should be looking. Nobody have taken time to give us a good understanding of what the national anthem is, or what the national anthem is meant to accomplish, to do. The purpose why we are singing it every day on the assembly ground
at every meeting,
every public functions. You understand? Nobody has taken time to. You see, to us, it's just a symbol of honor, or it's something you are singing
just to honor your country by mouth.
You see, these are why we are where we are today. I told somebody, if you watch certain nations, maybe where they were playing football, international competition, you will see some nations when it is time
to sing the national anthem.
You will see them singing
shedding tears.
Why? It's because you see this national song, if well understood, It has the ability to evoke patriotism, to evoke the spirit of patriotism, to evoke the spirit of unity.
Oneness.
See, you see, just like we used to say, the national anthem itself, it cannot, the national anthem, without understanding what it means and the meaning of the lyrics, it cannot transform us. It is the understanding of the lyrics that is beyond the letters that has the ability to evoke that spirit, the spirit behind the letters,
behind the anthem.
Behind the anthem. The moment there is understanding, it will unlock that spirit in us. And then you see us singing with understanding because we knew what we are saying. If you don't know what the meaning of what you are saying,
say it anyhow.
You say it anyhow, and you think you're just singing.
And that also speak for the reason why, if you in most schools, even adults, they actually can sing the anthem correctly. So what is important is just to do the rituals, and we really don't give it our heart, and that is why it's not yielding result. And this is also to also further say that our government, we have to deliberately take a bold steps now to ensure that the purpose and the ideas behind the national anthem is actually being taught to the grassroots.
That is the truth.
Because that is where the formation stage is, where people can now be built, and they will build on it, grow up on that foundation. So we're calling out the federal government to please deliberately invest
with those that invest.
Yes, partner with most especially the NOA, National Orientation Agencies, and some other NGOs that are into this business, because it's a business. We should recognize that it calls for partnership. It calls for partnership if Nigeria must move forward. Because why we are saying this is simply because we've discovered that every ugly thing we see in our nation today was fueled by individuals that are actually upholding, promoting wrong values. I mean, negative values. Where we have the right values, the positive values that is capable of promoting unity, peace, development, and every positive things we can think of in our nation, Nigeria.
That is why in 2021, we in the Loyal Magnificent Compatriots Club have decided, we have decided to write this book, The Nigeria's Call. With deliberate, we wrote this book with the intention of critically explaining the meaning of the lyrics of the national anthem, explaining the values embedded in the national anthem, which is now considered as the old national anthem,
the second national anthem.
Now, when you have access to this book, I recently thought of this. I was going through the book and I said, if the leadership truly have access to this book and go through it in depthly before now,
they may not have reasons to change the national anthem. That's true.
They will not have reason to change the national anthem if they go through this book, have access to it, and truly go through it. They will not have reason to change the national anthem because we did justice to the national anthem. Not just the national anthem, the pledge.
Every other.
We dedicate the whole chapter on the national. That is the business we are still doing now. Even now that we have the new national anthem in place, we are still continuing with that business. But our goal for today is to look at the national anthems and then identify for you. If we don't deliberately identify these values and know that, oh, this is the reason why these values are being embedded here, we will not be able to what? Fetch them and internalize them, practice them. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the old national anthem.
All right. Now, before we go into that, we want to enjoin each and every one of us watching right now. Please, what we're talking about has to do with our nation at large,
Yes.
with the national interest. So, please do us well by sharing, like, and please do well to follow our social handles, our Facebook handles, our YouTube channel, our Instagram, and every other platform. Please do well to share this to your friends and family. Let's partner together to propagate this gospel.
We want to take a closer look at the national anthems, at the two national anthems, beginning with the old national anthem. And what we call the old national anthem today is actually the second national anthem.
Second and the last national anthem.
Yes, second and the last, just the last national anthem. This national anthem was adopted sometimes in 1978 during the administration of
Obasanjo, right?
Obasanjo, yes, Olusegun Obasanjo. There were certain arguments that necessitated, the adoption of this second national anthem, which we often call Nigeria's call or Arise,
O Compatriots.
The argument was that the first national anthem
was not indigenous.
Was not indigenous. The first national anthem that was written and handed to us by the British, that was the national anthem when Nigeria was to be given the independence in 1960. There is need for us to have our national anthem as a nation. And as a result of that, the British, on their own, worked it out for us. And they gave us the national anthem. That was the national anthem that welcomed our independence in 1960. So the Obasanjo administration then felt that it wasn't indigenous enough. So there is need for us to have a second national anthem. That is why we have that national anthem, which is commonly known as
Arise, O Compatriots,
or the Nigeria's call. Now we are looking at the old national anthem, which most of us
are more familiar with.
Yes. Because
Arise, O Compatriots. Maybe we should sing. Let's just the first stanza. So that means we will have to rise as we do this.
Yes.
So if you are watching us and you are with us, please let's just rise as we honor and sing our national song. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To to serve with heart and might. One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
From the national anthem that we just sang now, let's take a closer look at it and identify
The
those
values
values
embedded
embedded in them,
in the national anthem.
in the national anthem. Can we just point it one
After the order, starting with the first stanza that we just sang.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned the stanza. We want to let the public know that this old national anthem has two stanzas. The first stanza and the second stanza is considered as national prayer. In fact, it's purely a prayer, purely a prayer. But there are still values because those prayers actually they they are our aspirations as a people. What we wish that God should
Do with us.
For us and through us,
For our nation.
for our nation. So, but the first stanza, or both the first stanza and the second stanza, there are good values embedded in them. And most time in public functions, we only, take the first stanza and we use the second stanza as national prayers. Now, from the first stanza that we just sang now, you discover the first thing you can see there. Say, arise, all compatriots, Nigeria's call, obey. And what we depict from there is obedience to national cause. Obedience to national cause. Obedience. It is expected of every Nigerian citizen to be promptly obedient to the national call at any time.
At all time. And when you talked about national call, I want to see national call as responsibilities that office holders are meant to take.
Yes.
Is a national call. So if as a director in a parastatal or a DG of a parastatal or maybe a judge of federal or state high court, whatever court, these are offices where services are needed, and as individual you are called to serve in that capacity. So responsibilities that office holders are met to carry out are actually the national cause that we're talking about. So it is expected of us that we arise and be obedient to the call of our fatherland.
So, every citizen is to be ready to obey anytime there is need arise. Our nation is constantly beckoning on citizens. Sometimes, apart from the appointed, political appointed leaders, or political elected or appointed leaders, officers, or even those occupy some key positions, even as ordinary citizens, sometimes a nation do beckon on us to take certain responsibility. There are times that all that nation demands from our citizens is the call to discipline. Say at this moment, it is expected of everyone to answer this call to discipline. For instance, you see like Nigeria now, what is happening in our country now, the nation is seriously beckoning on every citizen to answer the call of integrity, call of justice. So that call, the call to integrity, to show integrity in every area. For instance, call to honesty.
Honesty.
So these are also, a pressing call that our nation is beckoning on. Anytime that there is a challenge in the nation, you will discover that naturally the nation will start beckoning on the citizens. That is, in other words, it is the need, the pressing need of the nation at
At
the
that
time,
time.
which is behoved on the citizens to arise, to
And be
provide
obedient to that
obedience
call,
to that call, to provide solution to that call.
to that challenge.
For instance, you remember what we used to say in our presentations on the Nigeria of our dream.
Dream, yeah.
We used to say that the Nigerian call is a call to honesty, the call to discipline, call to integrity, call to uphold. In fact, we say it's a call to it's a call to unite
against
divisions
and every other vices.
Thank you. For instance, now our nation is beckoning on every citizen to arise and unite against insecurity, against every form of kidnapping, against every form of corruption. This is a call. The nation is calling on every citizen. That is why, like in this book, you know what the first chapter that when we address about the call, we said you can hear the call, the trumpet sound from the east, from the north, from the west, from the south. What is the trumpet call? It's a Nigerian call, Nigeria's call, calling on every citizen to arise to this pressing need. In fact, it's a call to arise from pessimism to optimism. It's a call. So, and just like you have said, we have discovered that one of the easiest way for Nigerians to understand this call that embedded in this all national anthem, is for public office holders to, because they are the drivers. Just that we keep saying, leadership determine the success of every nation. Society. Because the leaders are the drivers and the masses are the passengers. And like we often say, that is those who are on the steering that decide the direction of the vehicle, determine the direction of the vehicle, where you go. So the easier way for Nigeria to understand the call of our nation at every point is for those, especially the elected and the appointed officers, to what? Take the lead. The moment they arise and take the lead, sir, it will be very
there will be no option.
There will
be no option.
Everybody, because they are on the steering.
Because a vehicle cannot be driving towards the north, while the passengers will be going towards the east. That would be impossible. That would be impossible.
So that's why we keep saying that the moment they recognize this and they steer the ship, you will see how every
followership will be easy.
So the value of obedience to national call is one of the values that we fail to uphold all this while.
So we can possibly say that even our public office holders, they were only occupying offices, but they are actually not yielding, or they're actually not yielding to the call of fatherland.
The challenge they have is that they didn't recognize that their duty is not just to for the exercise, but to also influence the followers. You see, the political they thought they are just to start, just to do the work. They have dual responsibility as a leader there. Because just like we keep saying most times, the followers are waiting to see the direction you will take, so that
they follow suit.
That is why they are followers. You are the
leaders.
So they are leaders. So they are waiting. So the responsibility they have is not just to occupy the office, but
lead
to
the
lead
people
the people, to
to
give us
promised
direction
land.
to the promised land. So it is their duty now to lead us cross the Red Sea, to the other side. So the first value we understood from that national thing is obedience to national
call.
Now the second value that we discover here is a call to service. It's a call to serve our fatherland. To serve our fatherland.
Yes. Before you continue,
Yes.
talking about fatherland, in the first and the new
Yes.
national anthem, it seems it's no longer fatherland.
No,
It's now motherland. But whichever way,
yes,
it is still a
still
land that gave birth to us,
Yes.
that gave birth to our
Yes,
existence.
sir.
So be it father or motherland, what is important is there is a land. There is a land.
I like that.
And we ought
that.
to obey the call of this land.
Of this land. I like that. That is it.
All right, let's
Now,
move forward.
The call to serve our fatherland. Now, it means a call to service. So one of the value we pick up from there is service. Service.
And of course, before we move forward, I also understand that service to fatherland can be termed or can as well mean service to mankind.
That is it. You remember
and by implication, it can still be service to God.
I think we should, this important value, as you see, you remember in one of our presentations on patriotism. In fact, even in the Right Value Club lesson that is going on patriotism, one of them is said, you don't love Nigeria if you don't love your fellow Nigerian citizens. That means just what you are saying. That means service to the fatherland is service to your fellow citizens. And by
fellow
implication,
Nigerians,
service
to mankind,
and service to God. That is it. And then the number 3 value found there is serve with love. So to serve the fatherland with love. And to serve with love is to serve willingly and to serve cheerfully. It takes love. In this place now, this love here.
And that is where patriotism comes in.
Thank you. That's where patriotism comes in. That's what patriotism comes in. If you don't love your country, there is no way you will serve your country to the best of your ability. So the first requirement is love. That is why even our Holy Bible tells us that God loves a cheerful giver. Whatever you will do must be done out of love. Even if you want to give to your fellow citizens, serve your fellow citizens, it must be done out of
love, out of charity.
That is what. So serve with love. So the next value that we have identified from this whole national anthem is serve with strength. To serve with strength. Tells us that to serve with strength is to serve with the best of your ability.
Serve with dignity.
Serve with dignity.
With the best of your ability. Serve with all you've got. Whatever position or office or environment you find you found yourself, you put your best to it.
Your intellect, your
physical
ability, everything you have. Put everything you have. So with all your strength. Now, the next one is to serve with faith.
Serve with faith.
This is the area that we've been neglecting as the people, to serve with faith. You see, to serve with faith is to serve believing. To serve believing that your input.
We can make a difference.
In fact, that is where it begins. So that no matter at every angle you find yourself, when you have this understanding that you are serving, believing that your input
at your respective corner can make a difference, can make a huge difference.
In fact, you will not take our service for granted. We will be, committed. Another thing to serve with faith is to look inward as a nation now, as a people, to have to develop belief
in ourselves.
And
that is where self-reliance comes in.
That's what self-reliance comes in. We have a belief in our own system.
Our own system.
As a, believe that as a people we have all it takes to make our nation great.
Now, and that actually reminds me. You remember there was a day we went to one government, but I don't want to mention name now.
Yes.
And one of the assistant directors, the deputy director, assistant director, was like, trying to make us feel that Nigeria cannot work.
Yes.
That Nigeria, there is nothing like Nigeria.
He has
lost hope, lost faith in Nigeria. He believed that Nigeria cannot work. And that baffles me because this is a public office holder that has grown to that cadre, to have grown to a level of an assistant, or is it a deputy director? In a very sensitive ministry, no faith in his own government, in the system.
That this thing can work. We are the one that will make them to see reasons why it will work. Now, not only him, there are millions of Nigerians that.
And also, before we, I also discovered that talking about faith. You have just mentioned now that even the office holders, the public office holders, ought to believe in the system.
Yes.
I'm also looking at the aspect of the followers.
Yeah.
Because one key issue that we have had with followership in Nigeria is simply that even the followers can no longer trust or believe in the government, in the leadership or the governance of the present leadership. Because when government says something, the people don't seem to believe or take it serious that this is what we do. Maybe it's simply because they have not actually done what they had promised in the past. So it will now take an extra grace even to get the followers to believe, to have belief, or to serve in faith or with faith.
That is it. In some countries, in some climes, citizens have a lot of confidence in their nation. They believe that, let me tell you, if you don't have confidence in your nation, you cannot go far in making sacrifices. That is why it behoves on the leadership. As you just said now, we've discovered that now there is a huge gap. Between the leadership and the followership. So this trust deficit that the leadership need to do everything to regain this trust deficit that is
created already.
For instance, if those who are serving today know that even if they retire tomorrow, they won't go hungry, they won't go begging, that their nation will be there for them because they serve their nation with the whole of their heart. Let me tell you, corruption will be less. But because they have no faith in the system, in the nation's ability to guarantee their success tomorrow. So when they have a little opportunity, they say, let me grab it now and keep it for myself and my children because I don't know what tomorrow will hold. So that is where we want government must be deliberate to regain this trust deficit so that people should be willingly serve, have faith in the system and serve their country with
their hearts,
with their heart,
believing that when they are done serving, the country or the system is there to protect their safety and to ensure that they have a future.
For instance, those are our fallen heroes. Some of them, their major concern is, if I go extra mile for my nation, if I die in the process, what is the fate of my families I left behind? But if they know that whatever we are done, we are not taking the issue of our fallen heroes for granted. That if we lose one person, sir, let me tell you the truth. By the time one military man see how government treated the family of his fallen police, let me tell you, it will spark confidence. You have no fear. Say, I know whatever happened to me, my country, my family are in safe.
And he will become zealous.
He will become zealous.
To be committed to.
So it is, it is vice versa. The followers the government need to be deliberate in influencing the followers, just and vice versa. Anyway,
okay. And also, yes. I also want to quickly chip this in, talking about serving with faith. Yes, I think one key area we should also look into is the area of our judiciary system. Good. At this time, at this crucial time in our nation, I think our judicial system ought to do more.
Yes.
If the government must regain the trust deficit that is already ravaging our country now, judiciary system will go a long way to provide that platform through which the citizen can bank on, because it's almost becoming impossible for you to get justice from a court of justice.
Somebody said our major concern or fear is that if God do not help us and if something serious is not done, that God forbid that our judiciary will become, instead of being a place, being known for a place for
the last hope for common man.
For a common man, it may become a place for a marketplace for the higher
bidders. Instead of becoming the last hope for common man, it now becomes
a place, a marketplace or a place for the higher bidders. And that is very dangerous. Because do you know that?
That is actually dangerous for our peace and unity.
That is the truth.
Because our peace and unity will actually be on the line.
In this area of having faith we are talking about, do you know that? Thank God you raised the issue of judiciary. It's one arm that can spark this faith that we are talking about.
Can help the government to regain the lost.
Easily.
Yes.
For instance, if two people are fighting and one is telling his colleagues, go to court, he is the one that actually, at fault and tell you go to court, and you go to court and you go to court
and you get justice.
And you get justice against him.
That will serve as a deterrence to others, and that language may begin to die down.
You see, there is a gospel preacher in this country by name is fondly known as Brother Billy.
Billy Akoni.
You might have heard of him.
Yeah.
Recently, I saw, a clip of him. I watched a clip of him where he was saying, I said, go to court is a language of the wicked. He said, it's only the wicked that will tell you, go to court. Because anyone that is not wicked
will be open for dialogue.
And in fact, you work out justice by saying, not wait until
somebody
take him to court. You want justice. You want
because
these
are men that had understood what the Bible meant when the Bible said we should seek peace or follow peace with all men
at all costs.
So, but for the wicked, go and do your worst.
Go and do your worst. Okay, we move to the next value, which is value number 6 now.
Yeah.
Is the labor of our heroes past shall now be in vain. This long phrase, as you see, very, very important.
I think that speaks for integrity. Integrity.
Yes, sir.
Because the integrity of the heroes past
must not be
in vain. These men stood. They stood their ground.
And their religious
differences, ethnic differences, and what have you. They stood their ground. They came together. They came together and said, we deserve to be free. And having given us that freedom, all the fight, everything that they had put on the line, we shouldn't let it go in vain.
I love that.
And it will take our commitment, our resilience, and our patriotic zeal to be able to achieve that. To be able to achieve that.
The next value there is to serve with heart and mind. To serve with heart and mind. As I just read it, I discovered somewhere in the Bible too, it says, whatever your hands finds to do, do it with the whole of your heart and with the whole of your mind. So, and it said, no, serving the country is not just anyhow, but to serve it with the whole of our heart and our mind.
And when we said the whole of our mind, serving with mind, which is the whole of our energy.
Yes.
The whole of our energy. Let's do it like our life, our future, our hope depends on it.
Of which it is. And with the whole of our heart. He said, wherever a man's heart
treasure
is, that is where his heart will lie. If truly your heart is in the country,
if truly we have faith in the country, then we'll connect to it. Our heart will connect to it.
Say, no, what are you doing? I'm serving my country. Nothing will distract.
Knowing fully well that this service will not go in vain.
Will not go in vain.